To what extent do you think this, if we just look at the pure streaming offering from Hulu and ignore the live TV offering, to what extent do you think this is a pure reaction to Netflix's increase last week and very much trying to take them on directly?
I don't think it's a reaction at all. I think you have to look at the services for what they are. Hulu told me earlier this morning that when they tested their $5.99 plan last year, that they saw a lot more signups, but more importantly, they saw more user engagement. So user engagement is really how these services are measured. So Hulu's service and Netflix's service are really two different services in terms of what they offer, the type of content they have. From an SVOD service standalone, Hulu has 85,000 titles now, or episodes as they call it. So a lot of people want to compare the two different services, but they really look really different in terms of who they're targeting.
And Dan, you just mentioned SVOD. I know there's this whole SVOD versus AVOD with the advertising supported video on demand services versus subscription model. So far in the marketplace, for the most part, what we've seen is subscription model, but between Hulu, between the Viacom news today and their acquisition, the news last week that CNBC's parent company Comcast is getting into this business with an ad-supported service. It seems like there's two very different business models and two very different camps that all of these companies are getting into. How should we think about that?
Agreed. There's a lot of different business models. So think of the three that we see right now. We see free and ad-supported. So Amazon announced the free streaming opportunity with IMDb. You have Pluto TV, like you mentioned, with the Viacom. So there's a lot of free services out there on an ad-only model. The problem is they can't really become profitable over time because the content costs are just too high. Then you have the subscription side, where you have Netflix and Hulu and others, and then you have the pay-to-own, pay-to-rent, or pay-to-download, which obviously Amazon and others offer through a store, Apple offers. But to your point, you have Warner Media coming out with a service soon, you have Disney Plus, you have NBC, you have Apple. The fragmentation in the market for consumers is really starting to get high. Prices are starting to go up because these companies are creating really, really good content. And the bottom line is consumers are going to have a lot of choice in the market, but also a lot of confusion and higher prices.
Is it a threat to Netflix, given the valuation they're on?
Is Hulu a threat or overall?
Well, overall, but I guess Hulu's the latest example of it, the growing competition for them.
Yeah, the way I look at Hulu, though, is a very different service because Live includes all the SVOD. So Hulu and Netflix are really two different services targeting two different customers for the most part. But to your point, yes, some of these services like Disney Plus and others are competition. While Hulu likes to say it's not for them and it's not for Netflix, it truly isn't for Hulu because Disney owns 60% of Hulu. But when it comes to Netflix, when Disney starts pulling their content off Netflix, which they said they'll do by the end of this year, it means a less content for Netflix that we know is good quality because we know what the Disney brand is about.
So how much, in terms of a monthly spend per customer, do you think there is to work with, given what somebody would be paying for a traditional bundle for all of these services to take up the slack? Because I think people have abandoned the idea that it's going to cost appreciably less to have a couple of these services plus your broadband service.
Absolutely. That's the point to talk about here is where's the tipping point? Because when all these services came to the market, think of Sling TV, DirecTV Now, we have so many of them. Their real selling point to consumers was always it was much cheaper than pay TV and it didn't have contracts. But now as these rates go up and you look at your triple play bundle, for instance, I'm with Verizon, I'm about $118 a month with triple play. Cable TV is $57 of that. So now all of a sudden I have to get a Hulu and a Netflix and an Amazon and an MLB TV and a CBS All Access and an NBC and a Disney. It's actually going to start costing your average consumer more money than it would be in a triple play bundle.